Hey everybody, it's Jason Height here, and today I wanted to show you guys my model that's pretty much finished. It is finished, um, and I've already kind of, let's see, I've parted it out. So over here on the side, you'll see I've got two different types of heads. I've got a head with no eyes. I've got a head with eyes. I've got the torso. Each leg is broken into pieces. Arms are broken into pieces and slotted to have little pins to slot them in. These are like blades that are also slotted. The back arms also have slots in them. So this was, let me show you just real quick an expose here. Frame it up. So there's all the pieces right there. Pretty interesting. It's always fun to do this expose thing. So it all slots back together. I'm going to print this guy out at 15 inches. And there are lots of videos on like how to do the slotting, how to do the pinning and all the keys so it keys back together. So I'm not going to go over that, but what I do want to talk about really briefly is if you're going to do stuff like this, it's really important to, like if I want to print this guy 15 inches, but I've got all these other pieces at different sizes, you have to maintain the correct size for them. So this one right here, you'll notice is all together. And he's basically all one piece. And I call him the Hierophant control body at 15 inches. And I save the file out this way so that I actually have him saved the size that he's going to be. And when I export it, because I'm going to export to STL file over here, first I update my size ratio. So I'll just go through this real quick. So I'm gonna go to inches for the people who live in America who don't understand the metric system like me. So I update my size ratios. I'm just going to pick an inch, and then Y is the up and down, so that's his height. Then I'm just going to go to 15 here and hit enter, and that will make this main figure this size, and everything else below it will be scaled with the same size. So that way when you print your pieces out, they're all the consistent size. But you have to make sure that this is what, when you do the exporting, this is what you export. So I don't actually use this. This is just what I call the control, meaning this is how I control the size. So this is just a little tip for anybody doing 3D printing out there. Oh, and another thing is I will adjust the size in inches, but then I will turn it to millimeters because I use ChituBox as my my slicer for my printers. So now it's actually 381 millimeters, and then I export it. And then once I export it, I'm going to go to ChituBox here, and I will open. And I got to find the file. Where is it? Yeah, no, that's not it. Yeah, I actually make a special folder. These are all my Zbrush saves, and I make a special folder just for this character and all the pieces. So here, there's the chest, the head, the alt head, the legs, arms. There's the control. So this is the control. It does pump him out. All these pieces have been decimated at 250. So he's really small. So I'm never going to use my control. It's just for the export. I'll probably end up deleting that, and I don't use that. But it has all the other pieces in the right scale so that they pin together. So I'm going to start with I think I'll start with the torso here. So it just dumps it into ChituBox. So I might as well go through here. ChituBox is a really simple program if you haven't used it. And I'm using an older version of it because I'm lazy and I don't feel like updating it. But I find it works just fine. And I'm going to use a Frozen Sonic Mighty 4K. So that's what I have. This platform here is the size of the print bed. And the 4K, the Sonic Mighty is 7 7/8 inches by and that's the width. It's 4.92 inches deep, and then it is 8.66 inches high. So anytime you go out of the bounding box here, so you have these simple rudimentary movers here to move them. I mean, you can also just click, hold, and drag. But when you go into the red, you're obviously out of the bounding box area. So the first thing I do when I bring it up is I want to make sure I have it in a good orientation that's going to print well. And I kind of like to have it printed on the side, and I also don't like it touching, I don't like it touching the bed, so I will, this is the z-axis is the bottom, so I'll raise it to like, 5 millimeters or whatever. And this thing reads in millimeters. That's why I export it in millimeters. If I export it in inches, it's all fucked up, so I don't use that. But anyway, you can see all the giant holes here. That's where all the pieces plug into him to make the figure. And then also another thing to note is you want to make sure that you utilize every area of your printer. Actually, I think this is a good angle. So I tend to vary where I print. I don't always print in the middle. I move them around, and plus I can make room for other prints at the same time. So I'm printing things simultaneously. So imagine, so it's going to print upside down. So this is how it prints, and it's going to start here, and then it's going to just slowly grow out of the vat like that. So imagine this is like a balloon almost that's hanging, and you want your supports, and you want all of your high points kind of vertically. It's hard to describe. It's something I've kind of learned over time, and I've got advice from some friends on how to do this. So you can totally mess with the orientation of your print. The first thing I do in ChituBox is I will go to this and hollow it out. So I'm going to set, the wall thickness here is really thick, so I'm going to go to, that's a little too thin. I'm going to go to 1.55 is pretty good. And obviously we want inner. The precision, I usually do 80%. I haven't really messed around too much with that. I've just kind of let it. And then you just hit the start button, and then it just will start to, and you can see it. This is kind of cool. You can see it as it goes down, the hollowness. I really like this. It's neat to watch too. So first I'm going to hollow it out, and then the next step after this is hollowed is you want to put drain holes. The drain holes serve two purposes, maybe three. The first purpose is to obviously to drain the resin, because this is going to be a liquid resin print, because I'm doing SLA print kind of stuff. So I have this little button here. It's called the dig hole. You can set the size and the depth of your hole. So you don't make this is really big. I have it set really big. It remembers the last settings. I think like 3 is pretty good, and the depth. And so basically it gives you this little hole here, and you can see, so I like to put it, I'm going to go a little bigger here, about like that. And it gives you this little hole cap. I never use these, so I just delete these. Yeah, so you don't need the hole caps. So I like to put them at the bottom, and I like to put them at the top. And in areas where it's not going to affect, excuse me, affect the detail of the sculpture, if at all possible. Excuse me, I have breakfast in my throat. Okay, so I'm going to put one there. And, I'm open to suggestions if anybody has any better methods. Please let me know if you have a better placement ideas for holes. Because sometimes I don't fucking know. I'm just doing it and just seeing what works. And, wow, I see some stuff that I don't like. Oh, well. That I should have fixed. Doesn't matter now. Okay, so anyway. So once I get the holes in there, let's delete these. Boom, boom. So you can what's neat about the caps is you can conceivably, if you do dig out a big enough hole and you want to put a cap on it, I mean, if it's detailed, you can print that out and then just put it right back on there. But I just put them in innocuous places and then just fill them later. But I definitely like to have at least 2 or 3, and I like to have them on the top and the bottom. I suppose I could put a couple in here, but I don't know if it's really necessary. I think that's probably good. And then over here, I'm going to go over here to this panel, and then these are the supports. So I'm going to click that. And in ChituBox, or I'm sorry, in my Frozen Sonic Mighty, I noticed that this particular printer likes the heavier ones. They just stay on better. So these are the settings that I use for that. And I can't remember why these are set this way, but this is what I've been using, and it seems to work well. If it works, I don't try to fix it. And these do use up a little more resin because they're thicker, but I don't care. And then you can place them yourself if you want, but I just use the all button, and it automatically will figure out where they're supposed to go. And I think that looks pretty good, And you just got to make sure that it's all on the platform. And sometimes I do take a look. See what the red shading here kind of tells you. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. What did I just do? Crap. I'm hitting buttons here, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Okay, oh yeah. Sometimes I get weirded out with the AI. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is the red is where your undercuts are, your overhangs that need support. So you can see all the red areas that are going to need supporting. And that looks pretty good. And what's great about this is you see on the front here, this is the main focus of the sculpture. There's no red, which means there's very little red. But it's going to build it, pretty in a way that's not going to cause any major overhangs, or So the overhangs are really what you have to be aware of. Because you can have print fails and that kind of thing. So that's the first part. And I'm going to continue on and fit a couple more parts on here if I can. But that's just a quick overview of how I do my 3D print setup. And once this is all set up, I will go over here. I'll go back here. I should probably show this part here. And I will save the selected model, and this just saves. I'll even make a new folder. Hierophant body print files. So I'm going to do that, and this just makes it easy for me to find if this crashes out. I'll have, and the next thing to do here is to slice it. So I can do that real quick. So what this does is this actually gets it ready for the actual printing. Now that I've got it all set up, I've got my holes in there, this is ready to slice. That's what I call these slicer programs. And then up here you've got a top-down view of how it's going to print. You can see over here to the left, it's it's kind of neat because you get this. It shows you how it's going to print in its entirety. And I know there are lots of different slicer programs out there, but this is the one that, like, if you're using a Frozen or a Phenom from Peopoly, they use ChituBox. And it's a really easy program to understand once you get the basic hang of it. It's very simple. And I like it because the machines do the most work, and you just kind of tell it what to do. So once you're cool with that and it looks good, then I just hit save, and then I'll do Amaranth bust pin, so that's his bust, and it'll save in this box of special prints. So this file over here is what I saved before, but I'm going to save it here, and this is what takes a little bit of time. So usually at this point I'll go and go do something while this is saving. But what I'm going to do once this is done saving is go back and then throw a couple more models on here to print because I have more space here. to print this guy out, or to print more parts out. So anyway, I hope you learned something and you find this useful. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.